Hello everyone, Debra Dickinson here. Thank you for being on my channel today. If you're a dog lover or an animal lover at all or enjoy pets of any kind, you already know some of the pros for having a pet. But I bet I cover some today you haven't thought of. And what about the flip side of that? Have you thought about the cons of pet ownership, especially while traveling or boondocking? I started traveling full-time in 2015 for 5 years in a cargo van, and for 2 years I was blessed to travel with my two senior dogs, Nani and Bentley. Then I moved into an RV, and after Nani and Bentley crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, 2 years after that, actually, I got Bandit, and Bandit just crossed the Rainbow Bridge on August 21st. He was with me for 6 years. So for 8 years of my 10 years of full-time travel on the road, 24/7, 365 days a year, I have had a furry companion with me. Losing him has been devastating, but today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of RVing with dogs and the differences of being stationary versus traveling and boondocking. I know a lot about all of those aspects, and I made an extensive outline. This was research that I did for myself, and I'll cover more of that in a minute, but I made an extensive outline, and so you will see me referring to my notes from time to time, and I appreciate you understanding that. With my brain injury, I just cannot retain to be able to talk all about all of the details off the top of my head. So thank y'all for understanding in advance. All right, let's talk about companionship on the road. That is a definite pro, a positive of having our furry animals, and yours might be feathered, or we'll talk about all of that in a minute. Right now, I'm going to talk about dogs because that's what I know, and that's the research that I've done. When you have a companion on the road, whether it's a pet or a human, you're not lonely. I will tell you that Personally, I don't think I'm one of those people that get lonely. I enjoy solitude. I enjoy deep I can't even talk. I enjoy solitude. I enjoy deep remote boondocking. I like being by myself. I have things that I like to do that doesn't require other people. Now, I love people. I have the best family and friends, and I've gotten to meet some of the most wonderful people as I've traveled coast to coast and border to border. So it's not that I'm antisocial. I just enjoy being by myself. But companion animals can alleviate loneliness. It's hard not to smile when you've got a little fur ball running around, and the pitter patter of the paws and the noises and just the heartwarming sounds. And I miss that so much with my Bandit. You open the door and it's just not the same when they're not there to greet you. And they can be a boon to your physical health, but they can also keep your brain sharp and boost your mood, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And by the way, I list all of my resources down below so that you know I'm not just making some of this stuff up. They can be an exercise motivation. So regular walks keep both of you and your dog active. That's a given. I think everybody would agree with that. And a 2023 study found that pet owners had a higher level of physical activity than those who didn't have a pet. Well, that makes sense. I mean, you can be active even without a pet, but it makes sense that they might motivate you. And plus, regular walking or playing with your pets, they bring us so much joy and laughter. It's amazing. But that can decrease blood pressure and cholesterol levels, and that has been proven by the CDC. It makes sense that walking your dog regularly would keep you fit and in a happier mood, but for even older adults, owning a pet is actually linked to better cognitive functioning. And pet owners often see less of a decline in thinking and remembering and making decisions. Your little fur baby can be an adventure buddy. I love the channels where they all go on adventures with their dogs, and I certainly did mine, both Nani and Bentley, while they were physically able to, and then Bandit and I had so many wonderful explorations. You can go hiking, exploring, camping, and for me and to many, many others, it just feels more complete with a dog. Interacting with our pets has been shown to lower levels of cortisol, which is a stress-related hormone, and that can help you feel more relaxed and less worried. They can also be a form of security. I I'm a little ambivalent on that. I mean, I know that they can bark, and please, if you have a yapper, please learn how to train them so that other campers around you don't have to tolerate that and be uncomfortable with that. Alerting to something that is a danger is one thing. Giving you an alert for a security notice is a good thing. Just general yapping is not. That is, for me, is a stressor, and I can't hang around that. So there's two different types of security and natural alarms, but certainly dogs can provide that, and cats too, for that matter, and birds. I had a bird one time that would squawk when anybody came to the door. Pets can be a community connection. You know, dogs always make it easier to meet people at the campgrounds, especially other dog owners. You know, you get out and you walk around, and even if you are not in a campground, often your dog can be a form of social activity. But even without other people, if that's not your deal, pets can provide someone to talk to. They can give sympathy, and you can interact with them. And studies show that social isolation has been linked to dementia, and it makes sense that older adults are more prone to social isolation than others. And so pets can help in that sense. But also, as seniors and older people, when we get to some of the cons, reasons why you might not want to own a pet, especially when traveling, keep in mind that that can be harder even for older people. So it's sometimes a catch-22. So let's talk about some of those cons on challenges of RVing with dogs. There's a space limitation. There's a space limitation for everything when you live in an RV. And like I said, my first 5 years, I lived in a cargo van. But our RVs can feel cramped with a pet. You've also got temperature concerns, the heat and the cold inside the RV when you're leaving them alone, or whatever vehicle you might be traveling in. You need to be able to have a backup for your backup. You have to sometimes leave them alone. There is no choice. And we'll talk about things in a little bit that you can do, but that is definitely a concern. Also, outside weather concerns. When your dog has to go, it has to go, and you have no choice but to get up and take them out. Now, if it's storming or something and you want to put pee pads down for a while, or if you're in a security situation and you don't want to go outside, you can use pee pads for a little bit, but those square inches can really close in on you if you have to do that very often or at all. I highly don't recommend it. If you enjoy going for walks and sticking to a daily routine, a dog may be your ideal companion, but you'll need to take it out several times a day, and you need to figure out how far and how long you're willing to walk. And that is a breed consideration and a size consideration and an age consideration. All of those things need to be taken into account. Travel can be a stressor for a pet, and until you get that pet, you really don't know. And so you have to be willing to maybe watch videos on how to help them and things that you can do that can alleviate their stress. Long drives can be hard on a lot of dogs, but even just movement of a rig can be hard on some. There is limited access when you travel with an animal. Trust me, there are trails, there's parks, there's attractions, there's things that you're not going to be able to do when you have a fur baby companion. And there is the extra cost. You've got food storage, you've got their bedding, you've got their gear, you've got first aid. Hopefully, if you can afford and do monitoring systems to help you with those temperature issues and security issues. You're going to have camping and lodging pet fees unless you boondock 365 days a year. Most places anymore are charging extra for pets. In campgrounds, it's becoming more popular, but if you have to, for whatever reason, put your rig in the shop and you have to stay in a hotel, you can almost guarantee you're going to have extra pet fees. And then there's the vet care. You guys, in just 3 weeks, my little baby boy Bandit, his vet bill got up to $12,000. I would have paid 50, 60, whatever it took to keep him alive. And some people think that's pretty irresponsible, but if it would have saved his life and given him back quality of life that he was used to, I would have done it in a heartbeat. And if love could have saved his life, he would have lived forever. I had so much love come running for him and for me, and $12,000 in 3 weeks for somebody that's on Social Security, that's a chunk. But I would have gotten 2 jobs if I had to. I'm a responsible person financially. I would have taken care of my debt. But you guys made it to where I had some assistance in that, and it's not going to be so hard on me. And not everybody would have that luxury. And so you've got to take that into account, because it's not like it used to be where you could go to the vet for just $30, $50 or get out of there with your shots for $100 or even $150. It is astronomical now to get health care for your fur baby. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about our types of pets. There are as many kinds of different dogs as there are people, and there's as many different types of pets as there are countries on our planet. And just keep in mind, regardless of the pet that you're looking for, there are lots of older pets looking for homes too. You might not want that have to potty train, or the high energy, or the potential shoe eating, or any of the things that come along with a younger animal. And so consider that there's all ages that you can look at. And if you'd rather keep it more low maintenance, you can look at cats, for example, and get a senior cat instead of a kitten. But I will tell you that brings its own source of challenges out on the road especially. And so be sure you do your research on that. If you don't want to go that route, if you decide that you just can't do a fur baby right now, but you still want those benefits of the social companionship and the health benefits and the brain benefits, you can maybe volunteer at a local shelter. I know someone that as they traveled, they would, as soon as they got set up, they'd contact a local shelter and say, can I come in for a couple of days? And they got their fixes that way. You can, if there's a dog training club, you can check on the different Facebook groups and the different places that are advertising and see what's available that you might could drop by and help out. You can, if you're in a campground or if you're around people that have animals, you can offer to pet sit or even ask if you can walk their dog. And you never know when you can get that interaction. There's also therapy pet visits that you can get from like Pet Partners. And again, my resources are down below, or the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. And so if you are in need of that and you are stationary especially, maybe check into some of those free of charge visits that can take place on a routine basis. And so whether it's full-time or part-time and you are looking at getting a ball of fur or feathers or fins, whatever it might do, I think we can all agree that there are challenges, but that the pets do us good ultimately. I wouldn't trade a minute that I had with my dogs, Nani and Bentley and Bandit, on the road. They bring such joy and unconditional love. It just fills your heart. Of course, when you lose them, it takes your heart, but it's worth it. Who wouldn't want to love to be able to have that? So I'm going to share with you some of the successful things that you can do for RV living with dogs. One, be sure that you've got your investment lined out and prepared ahead of time for your cooling and heating solutions, and there's all kinds of videos on that. I have them on my channel. Fans, vent covers, temperature monitors. If you want to go that route, you can keep through Blink and other services. You can keep an eye on your pets at all times. You can monitor the temperature so that you can be aware if it's going up, because it doesn't take too many degrees before they will die in a tin box, regardless of how big it is. And if it's cold, I think it would take a lot longer for them to get into danger, but sometimes those monitoring systems are well worth it. You're going to need to create a dedicated dog space inside your RV. They got to have a place to rest and play and sit and eat and all of that. Be considering what kind of routine you're going to have with them, the feeding, the walking, the resting, where y'all all going to sleep. And also, if depending on your type of travel, Research the pet-friendly campgrounds and the boondocking sites and their rules, laws, regulations, and guidelines, and make sure that you're willing to adhere to those before you get an animal and take them on those properties. I recommend carrying a dog-specific travel kit. Above all, there are certain medicines that you should have on hand at all times. Some I've learned the hard way, and some I've just known because I worked at a vet clinic for a while, and one of my friends is a veterinarian, and I've learned well over the years. And I have a video on that as well. And maybe I'll do an updated one soon because some of the medicines and everything have changed. But you want to keep a first aid kit on hand. You want to keep certain medicines on hand. Of course, food and water and leashes and waste bags and all of that kind of stuff. When I was traveling, I know I told you already about the vet care being so expensive, and please be prepared for that. I can't stress that enough. But when you're traveling and you land somewhere, you're going to want to know where the local vet is. What's their number? What's their address? How do you get there? I would find that out as soon as I land, and I used to have a marker board that I would put that on. And now I put it on my phone, of course. But and not just the local vet, because often I've found out they don't have emergency services. You're going to want to find out where the nearest 24/7 emergency hospital is. No one ever wants to have to take advantage of those services, but trust me, you don't want to be scrambling at the last second and trying to find one. So be sure you know those two things for vet care services wherever you are as you travel. Long-term care. You know, it's kind of like in sickness and in health, till death do you part. Life can change unexpectedly. Life boils down to seconds and inches. And at some point, you may need someone else to care for your pet, whether temporary or, heaven forbid, long term. And be sure you have that in place in writing ahead of time. I'm very, very blessed to know that Frugal RV Gal and I have each other's backs when it comes to our fur babies. And be sure that you have vetted them, that they know how to take care of your animal. And so, like I said, I wouldn't trade a moment that I had with my dogs, and I don't regret for a moment the money that I spent. I would have spent more if it had worked and given him his quality of life back. I waited 2 years after my senior dogs died before I got before I got Bandit. Bentley and Honey died in 2017, and I got Bandit in 2019. So he was with me for 6 years. And I couldn't stand it, you guys. I couldn't stand, it's not loneliness, the emptiness of not having a companion. Bandit was just so full of life and vivaciousness, and everywhere he went, he just filled the universe, and it left such a void. I couldn't stand it. And so I have to tell you that I got another fur baby, and that's why I did all this research that I just shared with you, is because I needed to know I had covered all my bases, and that I was at least doing check marks of yes, I can do this, yes, I can do this, yes, 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 instead of just making an emotional, irrational decision. And so when I did that, and when I lined that all out, I realized that it would be a good video to share with you. I'm going to share my new fur baby with you on a premiere on Monday the 15th at 4 o'clock Pacific time, and I will put that link up Monday morning the 15th so that you can look for it and sign up for the premiere ahead of time. A premiere is just a YouTube video that we all get to watch together and make comments on together and everything when it airs for the first time, and then after that it'll be available as a regular video. So I hope that you were able to get something out of this. Please tell me, do you travel with a dog or a cat, or what is your pet? And what have you found to be challenging, and what have you found to be the most exhilarating moments? Do you travel part-time or full-time? Let me know in the comments below, and please be sure that you're subscribed to my channel. And I hope to see you on the premiere Monday, September 15th, 4 o'clock Pacific time, so that you can meet my new travel companion. See you down the road, everybody. Keep on keeping on. Bye.